What is up, you laborers? I know a lot has been happening this 2020, but I hope it gets better soon. This next half of the year, school will be resuming soon, and maybe you're one of those people who's like thinking to take architecture in college or just curious about what is architecture. Well, this video is for you. My name is Jessie R, and this is my channel, Messy That Jessie. I am an architect for 3 years now. I work full-time practicing architecture, designing and building in my own firm, and also teaching part-time as an instructor at a university. Today's video will be part 1 of my arkiteacher series, which is entitled Is Architecture for Me? Before we begin, I would like to give a disclaimer that all of my opinions here does not reflect to the firm or the university I'm affiliated with. These are all my personal experience and comments on things. It's just architecture is my passion. That's why I'm doing this, to help you guys become an architect or be an architect someday. Let's go. Today's Is Architecture for Me video will be divided into 3 parts. Well, the first, we will answer what is architecture. Second is how long to be an architect. And the third is a silver lining for architecture. Let's begin to part 1. So what is architecture? Well, architecture is defined as the art and science of designing and constructing buildings. So is it art? Is it science? Well, you've heard it right, it's both. And that's what makes architecture unique. It's a combination of both art and science. So what is art? Art is defined as the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. And yes, that's architecture. It's an art. It's imagining a space or a building that's not even built yet. It's also a science. And science is defined as a systematically organized body of knowledge of a particular subject. Systematic means there are methods, standards, even laws in creating spaces, and must be measured. I mean, a lot of measurements in architecture for it to be realized. So a lot of science also going if you want to be an architect. When we combine art and science in architecture, that is when we get design. Design is where art and science break even. So it's where they meet halfway. So you get the point? Architecture is the art and science of designing and constructing buildings. If there's art, do I need to be good at drawing to become an architect? No, you don't have to. Period. But it can be an advantage if you're good at drawing or you're passionate at it. And that's the biggest misconception of architecture, is that you have to be good at drawing in order to go to architecture school. Okay. But it's not necessarily true. If it's a science, what kind of science? Well, mostly engineering. So there's maths and concepts and theories that will eventually merge in your design, because in order for our structures to be safe. So what's the requirement to take up architecture? You can go to architecture if you don't know how to draw. You can also go to architecture if you're not good at math. The most important thing in architecture is attitude. I don't mean attitude, the bad attitude. It's about your curiosity and your persistence towards the course, because this will be a very demanding course. Time-wise, because you have to pull a lot of all-nighter, and money-wise, because architecture tools and the things you need in this course will be very, very, very expensive. Also, the very important thing is critical thinking, because most of architecture classes will be problem solving in terms of design. No idea is empirical, but the design must be justified or logical in order to make sense, because that is what our goal here in architecture. That's for part 1 of our What is Architecture. Let's proceed to the part 2. How long will it take for me to be an architect? Well, the answer to this question will be in the Philippine context. It might differ if you take architecture elsewhere. The Bachelor of Science in Architecture in the Philippines is usually 5 years at minimum. So when I say minimum, it's up to you if you're going to finish it in 5 years or not. It will all really depend on your performance and maybe a little bit of luck. So after getting a bachelor's degree in architecture, you are required to have a diversified pre-licensure experience of around 3,840 hours, so roughly 2 years of experience before taking the board exam. So that is what we call apprenticeship in architecture. So this is the time where you will have your mentor, sensei, sungsangnim, or whatever you call your boss. Maybe architect would be good. Yeah, just architect. You can choose where and whom you will take your apprenticeship. So I suggest you choose wisely. And after apprenticeship of 2 years, around 5 months of review, which is not required, and then the board exam of 2 days, which usually happens twice around a year, so January and June. All in all, around 7.5 years to be a registered architect and to practice legally architecture here in the Philippines. Let's go back on the 5 years of architecture. We'll take an overview of the subject that you will take if you decide to go to architecture school. What to expect? Will there be a lot of drawings? Yes, a lot. And I mean it. There will be a lot of drawings in architecture school. The whole years. 5 years of drawing. You will start from manual until you will go to computer-aided drawings, and until now, practice, there will be a lot of drawings. Doesn't mean you have to be good first, but yeah, there will be a lot of drawings. Will there be a lot of math? Yes, a lot. And I mean a lot. From general math to engineering math until eventually the math merge with your design. You gotta endure it if you want to be an architect. So mostly there will be professional subjects, maths, and then minor subjects. So let's go first to the professional subjects. The most major subject in architecture is design. So you will have one design subject per semester, and this is easily the most demanding subject because there will be a lot of laboratory drafting hours as you go into higher design. This class will teach you how to design from a simple space like a bedroom into complex structures like hospitals and airports. And yes, there is thesis in architecture. Mostly it's design 9 and 10, the final 5th year. It may be individual or group, but based on my experience, it's better if it's individual because there's no need to fight over the design choices or the design decisions. Other than designs, you also have other subjects like building technology. This is about how to build a building. Architects must have an idea of it. What is a good design if the designer has no idea how to build its drawings? Utilities, professional practice, which includes the laws that regulates architecture as a profession, the ethics that you must practice in architecture, and all. There is also a theory of architecture, a lot of history in architecture, and principles of planning so that you have an idea on how architecture evolved through time. As per math, like what I told you, general math, like solid mensuration, to engineering maths like statics, strength of materials, theory of structures, steel and timber. I just sounded so smart saying those words. All I can say is just expect a lot of math. Every semester has math, almost. So let's go to the last part, which is part 3, the silver lining of architecture. Well, the true silver lining of architecture, if you want to choose this profession, is that, in my opinion, there are not a lot of architects in the Philippines yet. My license number is around 37,000, and maybe the number of architects now in the Philippines is around 50,000. Our economy is also booming, so there is a high demand in construction, high demand in housing, so there is a lot of opportunities for architects. Lastly, this is one of the most important lessons that my architect mentor taught me. Architecture is a lifetime profession, so almost like there is no retirement. In the practice of architecture, You have to build your own name and reputation in order to get the big ticket projects. And usually it will be on the latter stage of your life where you get the big ticket projects because you have already established your name as a good architect. At least that's the hope. That's all about introduction to architecture. I hope you've learned something in this video. In the first part of the architecture series is architecture for me. I hope I have enlightened or very much inspired you to become an architect or take architecture in college. See you guys in the next part of this arkiteacher series, and peace.